Hello and welcome. My name is Nathan Castle, and I'm a product engineer on the ArcGIS Runtime SDK team. In this video, you'll learn how to create a simple map using the ArcGIS Runtime SDK. This app will visualize the rate of flow in US streams and rivers. To do this, you will create a project and add the ArcGIS Runtime SDK references, add a map view to the app, create a map with an appropriate base map, and add a national water model forecast layer which visualizes the rate of US stream flow. Let's get started. First, I'll create a project in Visual Studio. Next, I'll use the NuGet Package Manager to add the latest ArcGIS Runtime SDK references. Now that the package is installed, the next step is to add a map view for displaying the map. Before I go any further, I want to discuss the components of ArcGIS Runtime and how they work together in your apps. If you're familiar with the Model View Controller or Model View ViewModel patterns, you can think of map views as the views and maps as the models. In other words, the map view is responsible for displaying information, while a map contains the information to be displayed. Maps can be saved to ArcGIS Online and Enterprise, shared between apps and devices, and opened with ArcGIS Pro. The map view can display temporary graphics and provide other functionality for interacting with maps, similar to the map viewer in ArcGIS Online. One more thing. While the app used in this video only discusses 2D maps, you can create a 3D version by replacing maps with scenes and map views with scene views. Now that you understand how the components of ArcGIS Runtime work together in your apps, let's go back to the code. The first step is to add a map view. Open the XAML page and add a reference to the ArcGIS Runtime UI controls. Next, add the map view to the page. Then, we'll give the map view a name so that it can be referenced from the C# code behind. Finally, create a map in the C# code and show that in the map view. Run the app and you'll see an empty background with an attribution bar at the bottom. The next step is to add a base map. Base maps provide geographic context for your data, allowing you to understand where things are. For example, consider this map of the US National Bridge Inventory. Because there's no base map, you can't tell where these bridges are. With the base map turned on, you can see that the bridges are in the Washington, D.C. area. The base map you choose is important because it provides the background on which your content will be displayed. Consider your brand, message, data, and operational needs to choose a base map that makes sense for your app. You can search for a base map on ArcGIS Online, customize your own vector base map to perfectly fit your brand, or use a default base map as part of ArcGIS Runtime. In this case, the app is visualizing stream flow, and I think it would pop against a gray background. I'll use the built-in dark gray canvas base map option. When you run the app, you'll see and be able to interact with the dark gray base map. The final step in creating your first ArcGIS map app is to add layers to visualize geographic data. ArcGIS Runtime supports many types of layers that display information from a variety of sources. You can create layers from your existing data, or find layers from the Living Atlas. The Living Atlas is a catalog of geographic content that you can use in your apps. I've heard that the National Weather Service maintains a model of US streams and rivers, so I'll search for it. Now that I've found the item, I can click on it to see more details, including the item type and service URL. You can use the service URL to load the layer in ArcGIS Runtime. Adding layers is a two-step process. First, create the layer, and second, add the layer to the map's operational layers collection. When you run the app, you will now see the streamflow forecast displayed on a dark gray base map. So far, you've created an app that can display a layer. You can take it further by zooming to the extent of the layer automatically, creating and using a custom base map using the vector style editor, or showing the user's location. The full source code for this app, including next steps, is available on GitHub. See the description below for links to more resources, including devlabs, doc, and samples. Thank you for watching.